Right, Quarter to Kimchi, episode 2, and... We know it is not that, but this is Quarter to Kimchi, so we're going to do it. Exactly, because why not? Are there rules to these things?
Says we can't.
Who says?
I mean...
Anyway, so we did the first episode.
Round 2.
And now we're back for another one.
Reporting for duty.
Listen, let me reintroduce myself. I'm Gugu.
And this is Elwanda. I'm kidding. Luanda.
And we are Quarter to Kimchi. Right. So, Luandanim, I was thinking the other day, is there any age, especially in your childhood, that you'd want to go back to?
I think, without thinking too hard, 7 for me. I think, because I can't remember much before that, and it somehow feels like everything just kind of began in terms of my brain processing itself and, going through its growth, what you might call them, all happened at around that time. So definitely 7. And you?
None. Because I think like the whole notion of going back and reliving a part of your childhood.
Yeah,
I don't think I ever want to do that, because that would mean going through puberty again.
Can I pick certain parts that I would skip?
Please do.
If I go back?
Go for it.
Because then I would maybe skip high school. Not that there was anything like hectic that happened in high school. It's just, skip high school and then rock up just after matric. And again, nothing hectic happened. Your typical nerdy girl. I hung out with friends or I was in the media center. But yeah, I could definitely skip high school and figure life out up until I get to 18, I guess, and then carry on there. But that's 7, like for me, for some reason.
It was fun. Well, okay, fine. When you put it like that today, I think my childhood it's what I remember the most vividly. So between the ages of 7 and 9 are actually my most vivid memories. After that, it's just a whole bunch of awkwardness. You say that you hung out in the media center.
Yeah.
I was a librarian at my school. I was one of those library monitors because I got that job because every break time I would go and sit in the library by myself. And I told you about the Gold Reef City.
You didn't. You alluded
Did I
to
allude
it.
to
And then every time I'd ask you what happened, you're just like, trauma was had.
Trauma. So your girl,
I don't even know.
Your girl was a deep nerd. I was a deep nerd in my high school, and I'm still in vague contact with some of my high school classmates who would actually attest to this. Growth was had. Anyway, so what happened is we had a school field trip to Gold Reef City in Standard 7. And most of that time I spent walking around by myself because I had no social skills. I promise you. Seriously. I had no social skills. So I didn't play nice with other kids, but just because I was so awkward. And so everyone had their little groups going on the rides and things. And I was just like, I get him low.
So nobody wants to sit next to me. I'm a walk around. Oh no.
It was pitiful. It was, and I'm saying this as myself who lived through that. It was pitiful and completely unnecessary, but here we are. So that's why I wouldn't want to go back to any stage in my childhood, because I'd have to relive all of that again.
Okay. Let's not.
But one of the male lead of the drama that we're discussing today did have to go back to his childhood. Not as a time travel thing, mind you. No. But because mentally he regressed all the way to the age of 7. And that is the good, bad mother. Okay, you want to tell us a little bit about the good, bad mother in general?
Yes, so before I go into the general, I do want to say that it took a while for me to get through this one. I started the first episode, I think I got maybe 10-15 minutes in, and I was just like, yeah, nope. Came back weeks later again, and I was like, okay, let's try this again. Still wasn't able to do it. And then a few, maybe more weeks later, I was like, okay, let's push through. So it's a hectic one. And in terms of a synopsis that I pulled offline, it says the following. The Good Bad Mother revolves around the life of a single mother, Jin Young-sun, who raises her son, Choi Kang-ho, with strict discipline. Her harsh parenting methods are rooted in her desire to see him succeed, but they lead to a strained relationship between them. As Kang-ho grows up, he becomes a cold and distant prosecutor. However, a tragic accident causes him to regress mentally to his childhood, giving Young-sun a second chance to be the mother she always wanted to be.
So what had happened was, I think I need to tell like that entire first episode.
Yeah,
okay,
please do.
Right. So, I mean, first of all, what we see as the story opens is this pig happily running through the field.
That did play a lot into what am I watching?
What are you watching? So there's this very obvious CGI pig, but you know the pig was happy. It was running through the field. Turns out it's a little piglet that belongs to a certain strapping young man who is a pig farmer, who is actually our male lead's father. But we'll get to that later. So he wants to propose to his sweetheart. But the pig has run away. Oh, he's planning on using the piglet to propose to Jin Young-sun. Young-sun.
Yeah.
Young-sun. Yeah. Anyway, again, of course, the proposal with the little piggy is successful. The two get married. They start building their life together. Jin Young-sun. Okay. Jin Young-sun.
We don't get there.
Becomes with child. Yes. And these two are very excitedly looking forward to their new lives with their baby, trying out names and everything. Everything is looking good. Their pig farm is prospering. Until this is 1980. I feel like it's 1986. It happens to be around the time that infrastructure is
booming,
developing. Plus, the Olympics are coming to Seoul in 1988.
Yeah.
There come these Yongra construction thugs who come around to the pig farm and say, well, there's going to be the Olympic torch relay through this area. And we're going to develop this road. Your farm is in the middle. The aesthetics,
it's not working.
It's not working for us. We need to get rid of this farm. Get rid of the farm is not even directly in the path of this road that's going to be built where people are going to be running. But they're like, it's going to be on TV. How? Baba Chue says, but it's going to be on TV for less than 30 seconds.
Exactly.
Why must I move? Then he's just not with it, and he goes to his village chief. But now the village chief, turns out, has been bought out.
Yeah, I was about to say, village chief was within the money.
They're looking at the money. They're not looking at the inconvenience. They're not looking at... It's literally for 30 seconds once. And it's only in 2 years' time. And even if you say the pig farm smells, the smell is not going to be broadcast to the entire world.
This was the main reason why they were trying to push him off in the first place, wasn't it? Because of the pigs.
Yes.
Maybe if it was a different farm, they might have been like, okay, fine. We hear you.
We hear you. Yeah. So, then these Yongra construction thugs pretend to move off. He thinks he's stated his case and stated it logically. And then one night they just set fire to his farm. these farmers lose everything, and they find evidence of
It being
arson. They go to the prosecutor. They want justice. The prosecutor is Ote Su. Remember that name.
Yeah.
Who pretends I'm gonna say pretends because this is first episode. We know Guti, evil.
Yes.
Who pretends to be on their side and fighting their case, right? But come to the trial, one by one, all of the neighbors are saying no. The cans of thinner that were found at the pigsty, which are part of the evidence for arson, no, they were there already. Oh, and he had electric faults, which he asked me to fix, but he didn't want to really fix. So that could have sparked the fire. So it might have been negligence on the part of Chwe Abonim. One by one, all of his neighbors, people that he's lived with, his community, his best friends, turn on him and betray him. And because they've been bought out by Yongra. And Otesu, we find out later. Then he goes and begs, especially this one neighbor of his, like, no, listen, man, you were there when the thugs came, and they came with their American brand cigarettes, which we found on the scene, which shows that they were there at the scene. And you said that you saw someone running away from the barn. Just please testify that. Just please tell the truth again, please. He records him saying that. He goes back to Otesu, prosecutor name. Otesu says, and he goes with his bank book. He's like, listen, I'm willing to pay all my savings. I need justice. Otesu takes the bank book. And then as he's leaving, Baba Chwe says, I'm going to give you the evidence. I'm also going to meet with some international reporters and tell them my story. Wapuma again. Otesu on the phone is like, matters have become troublesome. Chwe Abonim is stopped by these young thugs. Kwaphela lapho.
Let's just...
Which they staged to look like a self.
Unalivement.
Oh, pregnant mom is left alone. She has one pig. She can't... Otesu then is like, things must have been too hard for him. He left me his bank book in case anything happened to him. So I'm going to give it back to you. All very crocodile tears and whatnot. And then...
all of the
evidence disappears. Like the case goes cold. Yeah. And she does not get justice. Now she has to move to a different area. Jo Uri is the village. She buys a farm by herself, pregnant as she is. She is renovating, she is repainting. The pig that was pregnant gave birth to a good litter, a healthy litter. She's got a new start, potentially. Until the villagers come and they're like, no. We have been free of the pig smell for the past 2 years since that last pig farm. We are not trying to go back there.
Thanks.
And it's called Happy Farm.
Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah. And so they try and be like a mob and run her out of town, but she goes into labor. Oh my goodness. And suddenly they are the anxious uncles and aunties, and they help her.
They came to mob. They end up being,
midwives.
Midwives
came as a mob and left as midwives. I mean, all of them. There was another pregnant woman as well there, and then a mom who had a relatively newborn child. So all of these babies would have been born around the same time. I gave
3 babies.
3 babies. So Jin Yong Soon gives birth.
They were born on the same day, all 3 of them.
They were
2.
Samshik.
Miju and
Kang Ho were born on the same day. So uqeda ubeletha lo munye.
It's on to the next.
Bese lo munye again. And then Miju's mom then goes into labor after Kang Ho has arrived. Anyway, the kids are raised together. Miju and Kang Ho.
And also...
And Samshik.
Was it Samshik?
Samshik, yeah.
Yes, it was Samshik, yes. Samshik, yeah.
Samshik hates Kang Ho's guts because he lives on a pig farm. Kang Ho his mom has him studying the entire time, not even going on class trips and picnics.
On a roster.
It's
time to eat now, but then you also can't eat everything.
Because you'll get too full.
You're going to get too full, and then when you're too full, you're going to get sleepy. When you're sleepy, you can't study. So you need to just keep it simple.
Yes.
But she's like on him, like tight.
And pushing him pushing him specifically towards being a prosecutor. So she claimed Uguti at his first birthday. So the first birthday, they will lay out different tokens.
Money.
Yeah.
Depending on the
family.
period,
Yes.
what's prominent or prevalent in the family.
Yes.
But money is always there as well.
Of course.
Yes, you must. I think there was is it a gavel?
Yes, a gavel.
Stethoscope, maybe?
There was probably a stethoscope and a pen. They usually have
or
like
a book
writer,
or something like that, just to kind of narrow career options down for the child on their first birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll put cake. Would the cake be further away?
No, there's cake.
But it's not there in the collection there. But then they'll bring the child towards the items, and then they'll say, okay, pick something, baby, pick something. And then whatever it is the baby picks then is going to determine, quote unquote,
what their career is going to be. And so Ukango apparently picked a gavel. I can't believe it. He did. But I mean, he was also 1 year old. What does a 1 year old know except smash? So that's what he probably wanted to do. Anyways, so now she is strict verby with Kangho about his studies and fraternizing with the local kids, especially Miju. Not really, especially her. He just couldn't really.
Like he literally his thing was to wake up, go to school, study in school, even in break time, rather be alone. Don't play, don't do sports, don't do nothing. Study, and then when you're done studying, come back home, and then they have their tutor classes.
Oh yeah.
As they getting towards their
extra classes.
What do they call it? Is it the CSAT? SATs? No?
Yeah. Well, the college entrance exams.
Yes, CETs. Yes. So even then, that amount of time that he would have spent maybe going home and then having lunch at home and doing his homework at home, now he has to do extra classes and extra lessons to make sure that he passes his college entrance exam.
Which is all important. But of course, there he shines his eye eventually towards Imiju because she's been shining her eye towards him. And Usamshik actually accidentally facilitated them shining their eyes towards one another because bully that he was, he never stopped even in high school, and he locked Kang Ho. Didn't know, but he's also locking Miju, who is his crush,
into the sports equipment room?
Yeah, sports equipment room there by the fields. Anyway, fast forward a little bit. Miju and Kang Ho are dating, but undercover.
Yes.
Because she was there. She was there when he was going in for his exam.
Yes, and she's now also in just a random tidbit. She's interested in nails.
Yes.
So painting his nails as well.
Painting it the color yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, I've also got my yellow nails. Our sister did not listen to our advice from our first episode of Kota to Kimchi. She be aware of all vehicles.
Stay away from the roads.
And from that zebra, it wasn't even a zebra crossing. She was literally outside the exam center, busy cheering our Wabazi school tanje.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere, knocks her.
That's why we say, like, we don't even specify you must stay away from bicycles.
Traffic is just dangerous.
What is that? Those wheelies, no, just stay away from the roads.
Just stay away from the roads. So, so she gets knocked, she gets injured. Kang Ho sees this, does not go in for his exam. He goes and takes Ustando Asake to the hospital. Of course, Mother Dearest is not happy about this.
Mom is at home waiting for him to come back to tell her how his exam went. Oh, you aced it, right, my boy? No. Where's my boy? My boy is in the hospital with the love of his life.
And she's like, so what if she got injured? This was a very important day for you.
Yes.
You should have gone and studied. And he's like, but you told me to care for the weak.
Exactly.
And
she's just like, no. Why?
What matters is you, and because for her, all of her life, all of her raising of Kang Ho has been culminating to him getting into college, him getting into law school, him becoming a prosecutor. Any delay in that is incomprehensible.
Because then what does that mean? It means that he can't take the entrance exam this year, obviously.
He has to take it
means
next
that he
year.
needs to wait and take it next year. And that's just not an option.
And for the first time, Ukangho actually uyamphendula wakhe. And they have an argument about how no, you just want power, and am I even living my own life? You're living
all of that stuff that's been building up because then, yes, he's been obedient, let's call it that. He's been following what his mom has been wanting him to do, but he's been, I don't want to say he's been doing it grudgingly, he's kind of been like keeping quiet and just going with it. But then now, like, the straw breaks the camel's back, and he just goes off, and it's just like, now you've been doing this, you've been doing that, you've been saying this, you've been saying that,
and I'm tired,
and you've been making decisions for me, and I ain't having it no more. He's enough. And then she says, oh, you think you're a big boy? Get out. Get out of here right now. And he packs up his stuff. And I mean, barely gave what stuff he had. I guess a few clothes and a backpack, and then he gets out. Miju recovers in the hospital, and then they moved in together or something.
Eventually we find that out. We just end episode 1 with they've had this tense confrontation between mother and son. And then we fast forward, he is a prosecutor.
Yes.
A cold.
Stone cold.
Dare I say, on the ethically shady side of life.
Not dare I. He's stone cold, representing the bad guys.
Representing the Wu Byok group, which is run by, it's formerly known as Yongra Construction. The same thug who killed his pappy.
Yeah.
He's a prosecutor for the state, but he is taking kickbacks. He's gotten a house, he's gotten a car. He is cozying up to Song Woo Byok Depunim,
CEO.
And he wants him to be his daddy. He's like, can you just adopt me as
Take
your
me
son?
in. I want to be your son.
I want to be your son.
He said that, right? He said.
He did.
But then Woo Byok asked him, "What do you want?" He's like, "I want to be your son," or something like that.
Yeah, and then they're playing baseball, playing catch in the backyard, and we're like, what is going on? What has happened? Where is Michu?
You wanna be somebody's son?
You wanna be like? Don't you know, Guti? This guy is the one who is responsible for your daddy's premature exit from this earth.
But also, I don't think at that point we knew that exactly, like the connection.
We did.
Did we?
We knew because listen how evil this guy is, Song Woo Byok. When Kango's father was taken away into the mountains, and was dude not eating gimbap at the foot of his dangling? So we knew it was him. We knew Song Woo Byok was the one.
Did.
From the first episode.
The things that you just block out. And
just because
the episode is just emotionally
it was
charged,
a lot.
and everything is like a lot happened in that first episode.
And you know, you'll watch the first episode, and I think the first thing you'll be like Ulanda Neem was saying, what am I even watching? Like, what is going on? Because there will be some hijinks, like the pig chase, and then suddenly things have gone very dark, and Ubaba Kona, an innocent man who's just trying to protect his farm, which has been passed down from generations, and he wants to pass on 4 generations still, has now been taken out by greedy, evil people through no fault of his own. He just got caught in the crossfires.
For no reason, actually.
And now a woman is widowed, and she is now a single mother, and a child doesn't have a father.
It's like a pendulum swing of emotions. Like, one moment we're like, oh, that's cute. Next moment is like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
So I think I have to go into then he goes back home. Mom is like, oh my goodness, my son. She's proud. She's proud of all the things he's achieved. He's cold and distant still. And you're like, you know, she's managed to achieve all of this for him, apparently. But at what cost? Their relationship is not a relationship anymore.
No, it literally just by name.
Like, and she's very proud of him. Yeah. She gets dressed up, y'all, because it turned.
Wait, he's going back there with the fiance.
With the fiance, who happens to be who?
What's the guy's name?
Otesu?
There we are. Otesu's daughter.
So he's somehow managed to ingratiate himself even into Otesu's...
Remember, Otesu is the prosecutor who was helping his his dad first to fight the gangsters.
But he wasn't.
And then the mom also later on, and then he kind of like, sent her off to find greener, quote unquote, pastures over there to keep herself busy.
Yes.
Type of vibes. So then now he's engaged to Otesu's daughter, and now he's bringing her, quote unquote, home.
Rich girl from Seoul, from the suburbs, taking her back to the farm.
He's the head prosecutor, isn't he?
Otesu, yeah. No, isn't he also? I think he's the head prosecutor, and he's also eyeing a political career.
Yes.
Now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So he's also there high up. Now he's risen. We were just seeing him at the beginning as a prosecutor.
Yeah.
Now he's literally climbed the ladder and is at the top. So money, absolutely. Status, absolutely. Quality of life, okay. And
they go with parcels and gifts and things.
In the car that Woobyok gave to...
It was Cindy's, I think. Mercedes? I don't know.
I can't confirm. It might have been an Audi.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't.
It
could have been an Audi. Doesn't matter.
I just know it was white.
Yeah.
At this point,
yeah, it was white.
If there's a vehicle in a K-drama, I don't pay attention because anything can happen. Anyways.
It was white. White is the color of doom. Yes, foreshadowing.
So
they go and visit. She tells the entire village or her entire community.
Doesn't he call her and tell her I'm coming?
Yes, with the fiancé. Yeah. Very proudly, she puts out a feast. A feast.
Tells the whole community comes together. It's a feast. It's a party.
She's even wearing new clothes that she got from the NJ.
A suit, guys.
A yellow.
When was the last time I saw a suit?
Two piece
suit.
And very excitedly, he's like, Ma, I need to speak with you.
So they arrive, and then when they arrive, the whole community is greeting them at the gate of their house.
Yes.
And it's like a whole... And then he pulls her aside. Mom, I need to speak to you.
Brings out the family register. And is like, take me off of this family register, please. Remove me. I no longer want to be known as your son.
I am going to be adopted by somebody else. Did he tell her?
I can't remember that part. I cannot remember that part. And in fact, you know what? Watch it and find out for yourself.
Tell us in the comments.
Hey. So, okay. Now, Uma, with all of this celebration that she'd set up for, now is being told she now no longer has a son. She lets him go.
Confused. Hurt, I guess.
Because she sacrificed her entire life. She's lost her husband already. She's fought tooth and nail to keep the pig farm going.
Tooth and nail to get him through school?
Yeah, to get him successful. He is her life's work. And he now wants nothing more to do with her. She knows she can't stop him. She lets him go.
She signs the request, right?
Yes.
With the form. Yeah, she signs. I think she signs.
On the trip home, Ugel, don't know what she's doing. She's playing with her scarf outside the window.
Oh, yes.
And then it flies away, so now they have to stop the car.
And then she insists on stopping.
Yes.
She goes, no, please, that's my scarf, and we need to stop.
She gets out of the car. And he's like, okay, no, it's fine. I'm feeling sleepy anyway. She goes out of the car to go fetch the scarf. Get Karuga in! Yo! Another truck.
Truck of doom. They were, guys, again, they were on the roads. I don't know how they're supposed to travel.
No, but they pulled off the road.
But still, they were too close.
It
was just...
on a cliff.
Don't be the
mountain
vicinity.
pass.
Anywhere near the vicinity of a road, just don't do it. They did it. A truck came out of...
with Ukang Ho still in the car.
Hits
the car. Pushes it off the cliff. Bottom of the ravine. Okay.
He's in there.
Emergency services come and get him.
He's groggy, sleepy. He's...
the
whole situation.
Rush to the hospital. Emergency surgeries later, his mom is called because he hasn't filed the
Emergency
paperwork.
contact, yeah.
Emergency contact is still his mama. Kanti boy is paralyzed. He cannot walk. Severe brain damage. He was actually in a coma for a while. And she ended up taking care of him. Of course, fiancé disappeared. Nowhere to be found.
Where was she during the she was standing on the side, right?
She was still standing on the side.
Freaking out, and then...
I don't know, she might have gone to we don't really know. It doesn't really matter at this stage. Yeah. The burden still falls to the mom that he was trying to disown. And he spends time in a coma. When he wakes up, he recognizes his mom. He knows what his name is, but he's got the mind of a 7-year-old.
Yes.
He cannot remember anything else.
Nothing
from the time that he's 7.
7 years old.
And that's how he ends up in his childhood. Whew. And I think I'm going to pause there. Yeah. Because now begins the long road of rehabilitation.
In all of this, I think the key things are that he moves back home. He's now fully dependent on his mom. While that's being said, there's also the stuff with the community. So she's now obviously a valued member. There's more on this later. Valued member of the community. So she is part of the community. But then now she's still a single mom. And she's got an adult man who is now a child again that she must take care of.
And is disabled.
Is not able to move his arm. Like literally the only thing he can do
is his mouth.
Breathe and move his mouth and eat. And so she's literally taking care of her baby again from scratch. There's still the pigs. She's got the foreign
Andrea
pig guy helping him. I don't know what second help.
He's an occasional worker.
Yeah, that's helping her out in the farm as well. So as much as the pigs need to be taken care of, she does have help there. But he's back to being a child. And then we meet the rest of the community members. So there's now, in his 7-year-oldness, the only people that he relates to are these 2 little kids that are twins. So adorable. They are wise beyond their years. Sojin and Yejin.
Yejin is the girl?
Yes.
Sojin is the boy.
Twins. And their story is that their mom is in the USA and they're staying with Granny and Granny's taking care of them. But then now they've got a new friend who's in a wheelchair. Because then eventually, I think he eventually does move. I think mom, as much as this is an opportunity for her to be a good mom now because she was a bad mom as he was growing up, as much as this is an opportunity for her to be a good mom, she still pushes him to the brink. And every time she pushes him to the brink, I think there was a time when she told him that if you don't make an effort to feed yourself, you're going to starve. She left the food there on top of him on the bed. And then he eventually did see, and I think that's what opened her eyes as well, that if I push him to the brink, then there's nothing that he can't do. So eventually he learns how to move his arms again, and then with arm movement comes the wheelchair, and then he moves onto the wheelchair, and then he's now moving around the village in his wheelchair with Yejin and Sojin, and sometimes he's giving them rides as he shouldn't, when he knows he shouldn't. But then, I mean, these are his best friends now. He's literally a 7-year-old. He sees absolutely nothing wrong with himself being grown 6 foot, who knows how tall man, playing with tiny little kids, and it's the norm for him. So there's that. There's Yejin and Sojin, who are his best friends. There's still the relationship with his mom, which has improved significantly because obviously now he's 7 and he depends on her. But mom is also finding out stuff that he was involved in as called prosecutor Choi Kang-ho.
Including possibly getting rid of evidence of Otesu's infidelity. So his secretary and the secretary's newborn, who was quite likely Otesu's illegitimate child, disappear. And
we actually see him.
We see him.
We see something going on.
Push a car into the water,
docks. In the docks. So we see him do it before the accident happened. Before he went home, we see him, it's nighttime, and
he is fully on the payroll of, he's in the camp of Otesu and Song Woo Byok, the construction duty.
Yeah. And so there's that as well. So things are
being unpacked, as they say in corporate.
Right. There's also we keep seeing images of Miju as well, and her life, as she is quote unquote in the States, because then we do find out that she is the mom, the twins' mom, and she's lying to her mom, saying that she's in the States and she's just a few towns over, trying to make a living as a beautician slash nail tech. I can't think of what else now.
I mean, I think for now we can go to that parent-child relationship. I think that was one of the big themes that Tina,
absolutely,
who were watching from SA,
I struggled with that.
You struggled with it.
Yo,
talk about
because I feel like I understand Youngsoon's motivation, because she literally had to make things happen in a difficult situation with next to nothing. She's pregnant, she has a child she has to take care of. It's early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. Late 80s,
late 80s and
late
early
80s,
90s.
early 90s. She had to literally man up, and she had to make sure the child got to school. But for me, I did understand Kang Ho's resentment of her, because I was just like, but also there's the extreme opposite end of what was the third guy, the Samshik, because his parents, I don't want to say they weren't strict with him,
they really weren't,
but they weren't, and he then ended up literally he just became a gangster, owing tons and tons of debt, thief of note, everything that disappeared.
Opo Samshik.
He's the first person you must ask. Even if you think he's not around, he's around, and he's the one who stole.
And he knows something about it. He knows something about it.
So we saw those extremes. We saw the strict mom. We saw the lax, for a better word, parents. Now I just had a vision, or a picture of the lady who was always wearing the mask. Still don't understand. It's because she was Yakuza's daughter or something, gangster's child.
We find out in the final episode who she is, but she's very mysterious. She's married to the village chief.
Yes, and she's just always wearing, the beauty masks with different animal
things. We never see her face.
Ever.
Never see her face. And she says all the most out of pocket but true things. But that thing that everyone
is thinking but not saying.
So like when Miju and Kang Ho were locked in that school shed, and then she comes and she's like, it would be a shame, Yazi, if these high school kids had a child. And we're like, at least they were both clothed when we found them. We don't have anything to yo girl.
And everybody's just like, again.
What do you mind in the gutter? Just keep quiet.
So again, extreme emotional parts, and then you've got the hilarious moments in between, just like thrown in there, which is great, obviously, because then you have to relieve the tension, because you're tense times.
Because that first episode did take some getting through. In terms of the parenting styles, there were those two that you mentioned, and then there's Otesu and his daughter, because even though she disappears after Kang Ho has a serious injury. And by the way, I will tell you this for free.
Just for free?
Just
some random
it is important in life to choose someone who is going to be with you through the thick and the thin, in sickness and in health,
in rich and in poor.
Exactly. So her being so disdainful of where Kang Ho comes from was already, orange flag. Later on, we find out that whole relationship was actually a mess. It was a mess from the get-go. And so the way she acted was very in line with the reason for their relationship and how they got engaged and everything. There was no love there.
I think she figured out that he had an ulterior motive or something like that.
Spoiler alert! Please go away if you don't want a spoiler. Spoiler.
Remember, just pause, come back. Pause.
I'll actually put a timestamp here when you can come back. Okay.
Pause.
Spoiler alert is that Otesu never accepted Kangho as his daughter's affianced. And so when he started being suspicious that Kangho, or when he found out that Chue Kangho is actually the son of the pig farmer that he double-crossed himself.
Because he visited his school, right?
Or something.
In his last year or something like that.
Yeah.
Or his graduation class, something like that. And then he pinpointed him out. Like, hey, why does this guy look familiar?
Yes.
And then he kind of connected the dots.
Yes. So based on that, he was like, no, this guy must be back for revenge. He must be actually infiltrating our families for revenge. So he instigated. So that accident wasn't actually an accident. He instigated his own daughter to, on one of the long road trips, to drug his water.
Hence the sleepiness.
Hence why he had to pull over. He actually fell asleep when our sisters went to fetch her little scarf that had flown off.
He was already like wasting away.
He was gone. He was just
before
asleep.
That, yeah.
I need to actually anyway, go fetch your scarf. I'm gonna just shut my eyes for a couple of seconds and I'll be fine. And then the truck comes out of nowhere, but it was actually planned that way in order to make it seem like an accident that Kangho died. That was the aim. They wanted him
out of
gone.
the picture.
And he survived. I don't know if they knew that he survived. And so Ugel goes into almost a mental breakdown. And then that's where you see the dynamics between Otesu and his daughter. She's being eaten alive by guilt. So she did have a conscience somewhere deep down inside. She's like, I was
Though
actually...
it was deep. Because she's also shady. She's also sus in terms of just character.
Yes.
But... Yeah.
I mean, but her pappy is Otesu. Can you blame her?
Surprise? Zero.
I mean, she was just brought up in a way where you take what you want. And your father is like the greediest, will not even stop at murder in order to get
what even made her agree to eventually start dating?
I think I remember now. So while Kangho was taking care of the secretary and her child, taking care of, like, getting rid of them from the scene, Otesu then told his daughter, that's Kangho's mistress. So he twisted it, knowing very well that it's actually his. I'm the one who's got the mistress, and that's probably my kid. He then fed his daughter the lie that it was actually Kangho's, and
Did she have a
brought
crush
out
on him? Girl. Did she have a crush on Kangho?
No, because he was very handsome. Because that's all you need is just you just need to be handsome, and Ugel is gonna just be good.
And then he's also coming after you.
Yes. So you know,
with intention,
exactly.
Like,
and he was quite intentional about approaching her and making it seem like a meet cute and everything, knowing full well who she was and whose daughter she was. So, and he's a good looking man. So she did have a crush on him. She really liked him in that sense until her father told her that he is a duplicitous young man who is cheating on you with that girl that you see him holding the baby for, and pictures.
Planted, and then she started being...
And so Otesu then floated the idea of, let's just take care of him once. And then Ugel did the things, or facilitated the things, and then her conscience was killing her.
Yeah. But then also she ends up, I think, because Otesu, that's the other thing, like he just, for some reason he could always see through the plots or see through the thoughts, because he even saw through his daughter, because then he could see that she's not okay, she's suffering, so he put her into an institute. He had her followed firstly, and then I can't remember what he did first, but the next thing was to put her in an institution, to keep her away from, I guess, revealing the truth.
I think she might have, in one of her fits of anguish, threatened that she has to come clean.
Oh yes, and which would then threaten his political aspirations. But anyways, back to the parental theme and the good versus the bad mom. Yeah, I don't know like how you felt, but yeah, for me it was just like I understood both sides, and that was also the thing. Like I understood completely both sides because years later on, she's redeemed because then she takes care of him, the relationship as he's now regaining his memory, but growing from the regression that he had, going back to say being 7 years old. Him and the mom kind of find I don't want to say it's common ground, but then they find a middle ground of sorts where they function well. But another spoiler, should I?
Which one? Let's leave that one for last.
Woo!
Yeah. So her methods were definitely extreme. And I also struggled with that. Especially the time when she took him in his wheelchair, y'all, and dumped him in the reservoir. And was like, well, you need to stand.
I think I blocked that one out. Like honestly.
No, seriously.
It's coming back.
So he's managed to eat. He's managed to eat by himself, right? He's managed to be able to wheel himself around.
He's wheeling himself around. So
upper body is coming
upper body movement.
Yes. But he's kind of content in that phase, right?
He's living his best life. He's got his besties.
His besties can ride with him on the wheelchair.
Causing havoc out here.
Exactly. And then it's something pushes her. We'll leave spoilers to the very end. Maybe this is not the time. Spoiler. She has been feeling unwell for a while. So she's trying to hold together the farm. She's got her son who is being rehabbed, and that she is doing the rehab herself because she's like, no one else is going to help. Like, I can get my son. I'm not going to take him to that rehab center. I'm going to do it. She does that. He's making some kind of progress.
She's also finding out a whole bunch of other stuff
about him,
which is adding on to the whole.
She thinks she's getting stress ulcers.
Yeah.
Goes to the hospital, and then she is diagnosed, y'all, with a terminal illness.
Yeah.
And
that was the trigger.
And that was that the trigger for him for taking
her.
him? But also, that's when she like completely lost it, and then she.
Because also now she's also on that whole thing like, why is life so unfair?
Yes.
Like nothing has been easy from the word go.
And she gives
my husband and
yeah, now my son is sick.
And now this.
Now
like
I've got
what is
cancer
supposed to happen? Like really. And then there's also stuff going on with the farm because then there's that musician.
Yeah, there's that one. Yeah, but also there was also the outbreak of a contagious disease, and then within a certain radius, even though none of her pigs show any signs of illness, within a certain radius, the pigs have to be culled, and so once again she loses all the pigs, her livelihood.
All of this is happening at once.
All of that, and then she takes a desperate decision. She has persevered to the point of she cannot persevere anymore. And she decides, well, this is the end of the road for me. And so I don't know how he figured it out that she was going to do something terrible to herself. And so now he's like, I have to get home.
How did he get home?
He wheeled himself back.
But it wasn't a different.
Yes, so GPS, yes. Okay.
He did.
He wheeled himself back to come to the house and find his mom. Yo, guys, trigger warning.
I just want to say also, before your trigger warning, the trigger warning of the trigger warning is that all of this was so hectic. Like, parts of this whole drama are like dark memories for me. Like, there's blank spots. So, like, I'm remembering as we're going. Okay.
He finds his mom in a desperate situation. That's all I'm going to say. Because it is... And he is frantic trying to help his mom. And... eventually, in order to be able to help her, he has to stand. Yeah.
And he's trying to...
He's basically... He had to stand. Like, and this is the first time he stood in months. He had to stand and, like, hold her up. And so she's like... Oh, snap, you stood. And that gives her a reason to carry on, I think. I mean, it's quite twisted. I'm not saying that this is the way one should go about things. But this is what happened in the story. And so he's like, I don't know how I was able to stand And then that's when she takes him to the I think that's when she takes him to the river.
Yeah.
Because she's like, no, you stood before.
You did.
You were desperate
So
and you stood before, so you can do it again.
Come and put you in a desperate situation.
Again.
It's for your own good.
Ooh.
That was the other thing for me. The whole thing, the fact that she would do these things with the whole thinking of it's for your own good. It's for your own good. But the damage that's happening
because it's for your own good is something that needs to be discussed. In fact, I encourage you to, like, if you're in a multi-generational setup, get your people together and watch this drama together. Because the things that will come up about tough love, tough parenting, or maybe even lax parenting, all the things.
And the things that come from that. Because then it explored all types of parenting. Because even if you think of Miju and her mom.
Yeah.
And the mom and the dad's relationship. Miju's mom and dad. And how that affected her. And the different they were just explored.
There were a lot of family dynamics. In all of this, of course, to go to something a little bit lighter, the kid's mom comes back. Now.
Oh yes.
And then Kang Ho Hyung, and they call him Woo Hyung or Oppa. Yeah. The little girl has a crush on Kang Ho. She's convinced she's going to marry him when she grows up. Because he is a handsome young man. I mean, he is 35. But it's a handsome young man. So she's like, that's my man.
That's my hubby.
Her 7-year-old self. Anyway, mama of the twins comes back, and Kang Ho is love struck. Immediately. He has never seen such a beautiful woman. He has forgotten that actually this was his girlfriend from when they were in high school.
Because now he's 7 years old, so he's got zero memory of anything that happened.
Most beautiful woman I've ever seen.
So he falls in love again.
All over again, and it is the sweetest thing. And she's trying to be like, no, get away from me. She
ain't trying to give him the
like, listen, I understand that you can't remember the past 28 years, but get away from me, bruh. And he's like, no, I will do anything for the twins' mom, for Miju Oni, Miju Duna.
Yes.
Yeah.
He'd find himself going. He'd leave the house at times, and he'd come to, and he's at their gate.
Yes.
And thinking that he's there to see the twins.
And then he's like, oh, I see that she likes little animals. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to hang out with it. Was it a puppy or was it the piglet? I think he was rolling around with a piglet. Yeah, he was rolling around with the piglet. He's like, don't you like baby animals? Come over and chat with me. See. Come see. Come hang out with me.
Because she's also going through her own stuff. Trying to. Everybody went through the most in that drama because she also was she was recovering from the friend that she'd opened her business with, having taken the money and
run. And so that's when she had to come home and confess that she was never in America.
The confession did come late though, but okay, we'll leave it to them. Yeah. But so she's going through her own stuff. She's trying to recover. She's also trying to get back on her feet. So the great thing is that a lot of stuff would happen, but then they would not give up. They'd still persevere, push through, so that they end up on their feet again. So she's also there. She's gone through the most, but she's trying to get back on her feet again. She's trying to start her own business, and opportunities are opening up in the town or the town next door.
I think she makes an opportunity in the town. Yeah. Where there's a hardware store, and then she decides, listen, you've got that little corner over there.
Can I just
let me set up a table?
And then it's going to bring people into the store who are coming to see me, but then it's going to bring people then to awareness of what's going on here. And then they'll come, and then it's like, oh, okay, sure. And then it actually ends up working. There's village community squad goals, though they do eventually come back with the pitchforks again. They did come back again with the pitchforks, right?
After everything.
Because of that dude, the musician who came. Yeah. He came and rallied them, and they were having meetings by themselves. And then they tried again, and she's just like, ain't nobody got time for y'all. Oh, and then that's when they found out about mom's not being
illness,
well. And then again, it turned into a crying situation. They came as a mob. It ended up as a...
What's another M?
A moppy? Do we want to force it?
No. Yeah, they remained a community, and that's another thing that, because we like having the parallels. So, wa Korea, there's talk of something called jong, and that's a community spirit. And I think as much as they came as mobs, but they very quickly shifted into, no, but we're a community and we're all going to get through this together. Uh, Whether it was supporting her when she lost all the pigs again because of the viral outbreak, or when they found out that she's ill, they all came together again. Or when the story is wrapping up and Kang Ho faces his final battle after he regains his memories, they came as a community again.
Because also, not to spoil anything, I'm not going to reveal anything, but then Kang Ho had a plan.
All along there was a plan.
He had a plan.
Yeah. And so that jong is a lot like what we have had. And we can have discussions about this, about the community spirit, or we call it ubuntu. Where, and this is when I started to realize, as there's a lot more that connects us than actually separates us. So in this world, you can broadly categorize things as things being individualistic in nature, and then things being community centered. In Good Bad Mother, we see both. We see the good and we see the bad of
the
community.
Individual and also the community.
Yes. Yeah. But also the community, first community that we met back when Kang Ho's father lost his life. They seemed to be a community, but money came in, and then they decided, no, each man for himself. So they betrayed their very close friend.
On that note, because now that opportunity does arise again with that music director, whatever that guy was doing.
Yeah.
Because then he did come with promises of money.
Of money again.
And then they were just like,
They considered it. And then they're like, no, but she's been in our community. We raised our kids
redemption.
Together. So there's redemption of community as well, and community done right.
Yeah.
And then there's Kang Ho, who was, on a singular mission, going as far as trying to remove himself from his family register. He's like, man,
I need to do this
man on
so
fire
properly.
Yes.
I need to be so convincing.
Yes.
That
I need to remove everyone, and cut ties with everyone.
Because I feel like he might have also been thinking that if anything happens.
Yeah. He was. He's like, if I die, I die. But I'm going to bring these people to justice. But they can't know my mom. They can't know my my community.
Yeah.
They can't know Miju, because he broke up with Miju at some point as well.
Not long after
law school or something.
Was he done with law school? He was just about to be done with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then he broke up with his long-time girlfriend.
Yeah. Almost done with law school, and then that's also where Taesu comes back in, because then that's where I think it was his last year.
Yeah.
Where he then visited the university, and then he saw.
He's like, oh, you're my mentor.
Yes.
But
around that time, he broke up with Miju. As well. Yeah, I can't remember what you were saying now.
Yes. So he was an individual on a mission, and then switched that. But that is a cold way to live. And he was miserable. Like, you just look at his face in passing, you know that he's miserable. But apparently successful. To fast forward to now, after he's gone through this ordeal of being forced back into the community, and it's a community that took care of him. His mom, of course, being primary, but the community and his besties, and his
twins.
his new old love, and how eventually he gets to that first goal that he had, but now it's with the community.
Yeah.
Now it's everyone's business. That was one thing I enjoyed. I really enjoyed.
And also it's cool. I mean, we can try to. No, we don't have to try. But then it was cool to see how forgiveness also played a solid role in the whole thing, in drawing the golden thread, pulling the golden thread through, redemption, all of that. Because then if I want to say. Maybe let's start with Young-soon having to also see her son in a different light, hearing things from other people, being accosted by other parents when she's going to find out what was happening at his work, saying that your son is evil, your son has put my son in jail. Learning about all of that, deciding to still forgive. I want to say forgive, but then carry on still loving her son, and then trusting in. I don't know what because I don't actually, now that I'm talking and thinking about it, I don't even know what was going on through her mind as she was hearing all of that. Also, I'm not a mom, so I don't have those, I guess, natural thought patterns or pathways that fire up when it's your child, and it doesn't matter what they've done, you protect them, because then even some chick's parents, even though they knew that he was a thief, they do try at a certain point in time to kind of like speak up for him. I can't remember what he did, but they try to speak up for him, and then he comes back and it's just like, yeah, actually it was me, I did it, and then they're just like trying to beat him up. But then even in that, it's not black and white. None of it is black and white, and I guess that's also where the difficulty is, because then we can try and approach relationships and life in a black and white manner, but you really can't, because then anything can happen, and then you need to adjust with forgiveness as you go through.
And seeing each other's point of view, I think is something that's very applicable to our lives now. I'm blessed in that currently I still have a good relationship with my mom. Part of the reason I would not go back to high school is I didn't have a good relationship. I didn't understand some of my mom's strictness, and she's gonna watch this, I know. Because she did watch. She's like my number one fan.
Yay!
and the big sis. So I know, and we've talked about this as a family, like there was a lot I didn't understand, and also my frontal lobe was still forming at that time. And so there were things that I thought were unfair with the rules that my parents set out. And it's now when I'm older, when I realized, number one, they were also parents for the first time. They were young, but they really did the best that they could with what they knew and with what they were trying to prepare us for in our adulthood, to be independent adults. And so that's where something like Good Bad Mother is a useful starting point of conversation, which is why I say, get your grandma, get your aunties and uncles, get everyone in the room, watch us together, because it'll spark some conversations about, okay, I believed one story about what my parents were like as I was growing up. Either they were very unfair, we were a strict household, very strict household, versus some other of my friends who I felt had more lenient parents, but did they really? I don't know, because I wasn't actually in the house. And versus now looking back and saying, there was something that they knew, obviously. There was life that they'd lived that I had yet to live. There were things that they knew that they had to prepare me for. And of course, in other things, there was a world I was going to face that they had no idea that I was going to face. So they were just going off of, their experience. And so some things may have not been on point, but now that's my job now to figure it out from here on out. But they got me to this stage. And so that's where forgiveness and seeing each other's point of view, even as children to parents, in order to say, you know what, actually, the Lord put us together as a family for a reason. I know some of us come from families that are not healthy and are abusive. Like Umiju's father was an abusive man. He resented his wife for not bearing him a son. And he was physically abusive in the thing. He didn't last much longer after that. I think he passed away early. I think he passed away early. Okay. Yeah, he was quite young. But he was also trifling, and he was a rolling stone, and he was not a good man. And there's also that dynamic and how that affected Michu.
And the mom.
Yeah, and the mom.
And the relationship between the two of them.
Yes.
Because then every single connection was connected, and it had implications.
Yes, like it does in real life. So it was masterfully woven in Good Bad Mother, where they just brought things together and leave us with questions, answer some of the questions, but also leave room
open-ended
for discussion.
pathways. And I mean, to the point where even now, like, I can say I'm still processing it. I think I definitely need to go watch it again, because real life application 400%, real life processing 400%, because again, if we bring it back to real life, families are complex, relationships are complex, and again, they're not black and white, but just, I guess, I don't even know if it's understanding or if it's it is mostly understanding, but that view of, okay, what is it that you saw, what is it that you thought, what is it that you and then afterwards me, this is how I experienced it, this is what, because they didn't necessarily have those conversations. Things just kind of like sorted themselves out. This is a drama after all. Sorted themselves out, but then there is some resolution that happens in the way things transpire, end up happening, and it's not necessarily a thing that would automatically happen in real life, hence the need for conversations.
So there's family, there's the whole theme of Ubuntu and how the community comes together. So Ubuntu means I am because
Redemption.
we are.
Umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu.
Yes. Yeah. I am because we are.
The drama examines how parental expectations can shape a child's personality and the potential consequences of those pressures. Because, yes, but then there's also the thing of the situation itself was not okay, because then I'd like to think that Young Soon was that way because of the situation they were in. So she was pregnant, she had to make a way, then she had to be strict on her
because she was a very sweet young girl.
I thought so.
Before she got, even when she was still married and a young newlywed and pregnant,
carefree, laughing all the time,
artist, loved art,
and then the situation happened, and then she did a complete 180, and then she was just like, okay, down to business, this is what we need to do. And that did shape the way that Kang Ho grew up, in terms of strictness and tight parameters, that boundaries that he had to stay within. But then so then now imagine if Young Soon hadn't been as strict with him, and then he didn't end up being a prosecutor, how then would he have gotten justice for his dad? And what happened to him?
But it also brings up the fact that nothing that you do, we have this tendency of thinking that childhood doesn't matter. I see it in my line of work. I'm like, just remember, today's child is going to grow into tomorrow's adult. And tomorrow's adult, now we're going to have to deal with tomorrow's adult. Like, you don't forget things just because you turn a magical age. Like, you carry them with you. I'll see 50-something-year-olds who you can be like, this one, you need to go, I don't know, deal with something from when you were like 8 years old, because who you are now is... Because
then you can also ask the question, why did you go back to 7 specifically?
Exactly. I can't remember why specifically
7, but then something must have happened that kind of stunted the growth, his growth got stunted at that age somehow, and then his brain just reverted right back to that part again, and it's like, okay, we need to resolve this. So there's also that, like, listen, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And again, then I think, okay, because then Young Soon was, for me personally, she was bordering on just being cruel at times, and I'm like, did she need to go to those extremes? Yes, she had a goal, she had a target in mind, but did she need to go to those extremes to make sure that these things happen? Because again, what happened did shape his personality. He could have still become a prosecutor. He could have still gotten to where he needed to go without the frills that actually are the foundation.
So in the drama, it did resolve, but her methods could have ended up in her being alone in her old age. It could very well have ended up like that. And I know of many families who've um, that's like the final analysis of their story as a family.
Like,
is
I don't want distance. Like, I'm good.
There's no relationship left over, and that's the thing. As we live, my actions actually have consequences. And there might be a point. There was a second chance, a huge second chance, a heartwarming second chance in Good Bad Mother. But in real life, there might not be.
The Queen of Tears and this one, Good Bad Mother, fighting for first position in terms of the amount of emotional turmoil I was just in consistently. And both of them made me realize, as much as I like to say I'm not an emotional person. Yeah. Emotions.
Your emotions popped up and said,
They do. They just.
yeah.
And then I'm like, no, I cannot deal. I'm running away. And I'm like, no, but I have to finish it. I have to push through.
And so it was one of those dramas that wasn't a blockbuster. So we know that we're going to get a potential blockbuster if they put it or they schedule it for Saturdays and Sundays.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
That's kind of how Netflix has been doing their things. And even in Korea, I think that's the ones that are blockbusters are the ones that are released on Saturdays and Sundays. This one was a Wednesday, Thursday release.
Which means that everybody's at home.
And most people have work the next day, so they're not really going to tune in. And it was 14 episodes. But it should have been a Saturday, Sunday. Or maybe it's a good thing that it wasn't a Saturday, Sunday. It didn't have hype. So you didn't quite know what you were getting yourself into as you started watching Good Bad Mother. But I want to recommend this drama.
Yeah, absolutely.
I highly recommend it. It is, when we're talking about which is the one that made us cry the most recently.
No, actually, this was it.
Not Queen of Tears. This was
episode
the
one. Episode 1. I was done.
Was episode 1 the one for you?
I already there. It was
a lot. You want to know when mine was? So remember she had this song that she was always singing, like from the first episode, and it was her ringtone. Nanan hengbo kamida.
Yes.
Hengbo kamida. So remember, at some point she was also training 35 but 7-year-old Kang Ho. I'm ill.
About to take over the farm.
No. She's like, at some point, just say maybe, manyak, if you have to bury me, this is how you mourn. So you just go and say, aigu.
I blocked it out.
Girl!
I blocked it out. It's coming back now.
Woo!
I blocked it out.
Spoiler!
That was also a huge...
That was foreshadowing. Because obviously this illness is terminal. And so Kang Ho, now back to his regular self, is now conducting his mom's funeral. And he's saying, haigu. Her phone rings with that ringtone right then, bruh. And it's I'm very happy. I'm really, really, really happy. That's the line of the song. And the entire community just starts, they start singing that song together while they're busy mourning Yong-sun. That scene finished me. I was a puddle of tears. I am not a person who cries.
I am not. That's why I'm just like, for me to get to that point,
I wept, yo.
I'm remembering it all now, and I'm not okay. Hey?
And even when Kang Ho starts singing, he's the first one who started singing it, because he's like, no, forget this. I'm not singing. I'm not saying aigu. I'm gonna sing along to this stupid cell phone that's busy ringing because that was my mom's favorite song. And basically, I'm proclaiming I am happy. I am very, very happy. And that was just the end of her life. Was this song? Woo, girl, that'll preach. But even though in life there is he gives, he takes away. Boy has had his full healing, but now his mom, the end of mom's life has come because of this cancer. And at her funeral, what we're going to sing, she went through the most. She
Yeah.
went through hardship.
She
Lost everything at least twice in her life. But through it all, she was just,
The chills are running down my back right now, like my spine.
she was just singing how
His
at the end of the day, I've lived a good life. Through everything that I've lost. And I don't know what kind of faith. I mean, it's obviously, I mean, she even prays to a shaman in this thing for Kangho's success and everything. But for me, that is just like that joy in the midst of
that sorrow, that
umgo.
solid umbo.
But at the end of the day, to say, hey, Lord, you've been so good to me. I'm going to take it as that. Like, I know the writers did not mean it as that. This is why they will accidentally be preaching a word and they don't even know
don't realize
how much they are actually
However,
preaching.
however.
And that was my moment in Good Bad Mother. So this is our exhortation to go watch Good Bad Mother.
Watch it. Take your time through it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again. There's some unfinished business I have with it between me and the Lord also as I'm going through it. But yeah, absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it.
And so as we say around these parts,
Annyeonghaseyo.
annyeonghaseyo.